John Davenport,
Here.
Mark Ducey,
Here.
Sean Kennedy,
Here.
Michelle Boudreau, here. If you please stand, John will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we will begin with the discussion and the latest feedback and new developments from Destiny.
Thank you. So I did have an opportunity to talk to Christine and Michelle about the potential impact of new regulations on the district's draft, revised or restated regional agreement. They are of the opinion, although they can't say for sure, because there's, the board needs to have flexibility to do whatever it may do, that it's unlikely that the changed regulations that they are considering would result in us needing to make major changes to what we've already done. They said at most we may have to change some of the references in the regulations because it may move language from one part of the regulation to another part of the regulation. However, they said if that becomes necessary, we could probably make that type of administrative change without the need for more town meetings and votes.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Any questions about that? Okay. That's good news. Then we also have the document.
Yeah, so
I don't have anything yet.
I guess I bring this up kind of in the sense of trying to understand where the status of conversations between the towns lies. I know the representations that have been made in this meeting, or not this meeting, but this group. And I also know that there's this memo of March 31st from Brian Domina that suggested a different way of trying to approach the problem of the middle school, which is the sticking point at this point. So really, I don't know if this is a viable idea or not. I'm bringing it up because I see like really three options. One would be to move forward with the agreement as we've written it. Another would be to move forward with some type of language such as this that was proposed by Brian Domina that tries to address the issue of concerns over loss of investment in Wilbraham Middle School. Or a third would be to come up with some completely different way to address the middle school. If it was either option 2 or option 3, then we need to work on new language for the agreement, and we'd have to run that by our colleagues from the state.
Just a point of order, this is not on the agenda, this conversation, is this okay that we're having it?
It still has to do with the regional agreement and proposed amendments. So this is discussing the latest feedback, new developments from Bessie, but it's still pertaining to the regional agreement. So, I don't know, we cannot discuss it.
I don't know if it's still an idea that anyone believes in, so.
Yeah.
You're not having a fall town meeting.
We're not scheduled for a fall town meeting, no.
Is there any,
Not yet.
is there any chance that there will be?
Any chance? There's always a chance. I don't know, we chose not to have it. We didn't see a need to have a fall town meeting.
So I believe the planning committee's original plan was to have this go to town meeting in the fall.
And I think when we voted on it, we were under the impression that it was gonna meet, the new board wasn't even meeting till mid-September. The new
Oh, so
DESI board, or whatever it was
okay.
called, wasn't gonna meet till mid-September to begin to talk about just further changes, and so there was no compelling reason to have that.
Well, the compelling reason is we've got to resolve the regional agreement.
Well,
We're going to do something, I mean, this puts everything off until May.
Maybe you didn't understand what I was saying, but we're under the assumption that the regional agreement wasn't gonna be ready for the fall town meeting because DESI wasn't reorganizing, or however you're gonna frame it, till mid to late September. Is that the right timeframe? And so there was no reason to move forward with the fall town meeting.
I guess I don't understand what DESI has to do with us scheduling the town meeting.
DESI has to approve the agreement before we can take it to the town meeting. Or has to at least okay the agreement before we take it to a fall town meeting. So if that wasn't going to occur, Don, we didn't see the reason to move forward with the fall town meeting. Now, does this change it? It may, but I can't say. It's not been addressed, so I don't know.
Did, when you spoke to Christine and Michelle, did they indicate that this would not be, there's no way that we could move forward with this?
What's the this?
The current regional, current regional
The
agreement.
proposed regional agreement.
No, I think to the contrary, they said that their read of the proposed regulation changes were that they were minor enough that even if the board approved regulation changes after the towns approved a revised agreement, that we wouldn't be making substantive changes that would restart the process.
And the other component to this is we have to come up with some sort of agreement with Hampton around the cost sharing of
Well,
capital costs.
I guess my thought was, and maybe I just was pipe dream, but my thought was we would go to town meeting, both of us would go to town meeting with the current situation the way it is, and let the towns vote. I mean, after all, they have the final say. If Wilbraham votes yes, and Hammond votes no, then we could always come back in May. And I always had the thought that perhaps the case could be made that, look, you got your kids going there, it needs these capital improvements, this is what it's gonna cost you, what do you wanna do? You know, and the town may vote yes, it may vote no. If they vote no, then we know where we are, and we still have May to come back again and say, okay, we've made these changes, this is what it looks like now, you know? That's what my.
Again,
that's what my thought was.
when we voted that, we didn't think the regional agreement was gonna be ready. It appeared by most accounts, I think, I don't say all accounts, by most accounts, it wasn't going to be ready because DESI hadn't reorganized is that what they're doing, they're reorganizing it?
They're considering new regulations.
Considering new regulations.
Yeah, but that could be 3 years from now, but, right, they promulgate regulations, they have to have how far are they in the process? They have to have 180 days or 90 days or something for people to comment, and then they go back and they do that again. We all may be
Right.
gone to our reward by then.
The regulations came out in the spring, they're scheduled to vote on them in September.
That's right, okay, and so we thought that was gonna basically prevent us from taking it to a fall town meeting. Now, whether or not if it's inaccurate, I'll convey that back to the Wilbraham Select Board. But not a very satisfying answer, I'm sure, but that's the reality of it.
That's enough to be satisfying for us, to be honest.
So I guess, in reference to this, I guess our position still is that there are things that could be carved out that should have been done, that are the responsibility of the, which reminds me, correct me if I'm wrong, the region paid for the cleanup of the wall.
The regional district paid for it and then was reimbursed by the insurance company, all but, I want to say like, less than $5,000.
But the responsibility of that was the town to pay for it under their lease agreement.
An argument could be made.
Not an argument could be made. The lease agreement says whether it's an act of God or not, if you own the building, you pay for it. Which I'm glad you get reimbursed, but I think it was a stretch to use E&D money to pay for something that the town was responsible for. Unfortunately, we got reimbursed, otherwise we would be out $400,000, $80,000 of which belongs to Hampton. But that's near here to there now, it's been reimbursed, so. In the future, I think you gotta look at that lease carefully. So we're still in a position of, there's certain things that we think could be carved out, or should be carved out. As was the 2016, when they took the roof out of there.
Do you have a list
Well,
of what things you want to carve out? I don't.
Well,
I've
the
never
main
seen
thing
one.
we have on our mind right now is the heating, the ventilation system over in middle school.
So that's the only thing?
And we got the doors and locks and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
maybe
you
it might be
got something
prudent.
in for that, don't you?
We do. Actually, we had a telephone call with the MSBA earlier today. They are interested in all three projects. The district submitted all three of Wilbraham at this point. We're gonna be doing site visits next week, and as I understand it, at this point, their only question is whether we fall within the eligibility, which is based on the age of the items.
Is it too old? Is that the-
They have to be old enough.
Old enough.
If they're too recent, then they won't replace them.
Oh, okay, well, that must be 50 years old, right?
Uh,
60?
So we're looking at windows and doors at Wilbraham Middle School, and we're looking at roofs at Stony Hill and Mile Tree.
So can maybe what we do is work on putting together a list? And then we have something concrete that we can talk to Wilbraham about, but right now Wilbraham was saying, okay, there's some cutouts and, you know, here's one, oh, and then here's another, and it would be good if we had a list that we can go with that's firm, and then we can go back and forth, and at least Wilbraham will have something to respond to. I don't mean to speak for you, but would that be helpful?
Well, let's be clear what's happened. We tried to have further communications with the town of Hamden. The town of Hamden said they thought they found them unproductive and they weren't willing to go forward.
Correct.
So, I mean, I guess we've been open to having discussions.
Well, except for the fact that the board, the select board, Wilbraham, said that the 2015 thing was irrelevant. The study was irrelevant, right?
We've been open to having discussions.
So the discussion is heating and ventilation, the uni vents, and the locks and doors and locks.
That needs to be discussed amongst the two boards, not between you
I
and
don't,
I.
okay, I guess my problem with this is, why does it have to be discussed between the two boards? If
Because
the
I'm not
region-
gonna speak for the board
if the
without,
region- if
without
the
having
region-
some backup up from
If
it.
the regional school committee needs to have these capital projects done, then they should put them forward and let the people vote on them, whether they want them or not. That's the way it works, right?
You're entitled to your opinion then, yes.
You don't think it works that way?
It does.
You don't think the town meeting is responsible for voting capital projects or not?
Don, this isn't about me, it's about the select board, and it's about the body as itself. And I'm not gonna speak for the body until I've had a discussion with them on this. We wanted to continue the discussions, and Hamden sent us a letter saying there was no reason to have those discussions.
There's no reason to consider discussion, so if your position's gonna be that the things that need to be fixed are irrelevant now. Well, what's there to discuss?
I don't think we've ever said the things that need to be fixed are irrelevant.
Yes,
I don't think so.
yes, Sue said that, and I'll find this for you, Sue said that the 2015 study was irrelevant.
I think with the latest information regarding the new regulations and its impact on the regional agreement, I think now the school committee, this can really go back to the school committee in deciding how we would like to proceed in presenting the regional agreement. Whether we do know that Wilbraham is, as of today, not having a Wilbraham town meeting. Whether there's further discussion on whether or not they're willing to, that's a discussion to be had amongst all of you. So I think school committee can decide, I think, how we want to proceed, whether we want to try to see Wilbraham pursue having a a fall town meeting and presenting it to both towns at the fall town meeting. So we have that opportunity, should things not go our way, and going back to the springtime meeting, and going to the springtime meeting.
So the school district's position is that you'll be ready for a fall town meeting to bring this to a fall town meeting?
So that is what we have a meeting on the 21st, so I
Okay.
think that's going to be the conversation. Where are we prepared to, are we ready to, you know?
Can I say? I was hoping to get some sense from this group of what you thought the best strategy would be. I mean, I know you can't speak for your bodies and you can't speak for all the citizens in your towns, but, you know, what do you think the most profitable strategy is? Do you think we should present the regional agreement as it's been written? Or do you think that further modifications would be more likely to lead to a favorable vote? Because that's really, I think, the question the school committee is gonna contend with when they make their decision about whether or not to do this version or wait for a further revision.
So I think, and I haven't read it in a while, but I believe most of that, the way it's framed in there, is that the capital costs would be shared by both towns. Is that accurate, the way it's in there now?
Correct.
I mean, I think Wilbraham would support that. The Wilbraham Select Board would support that, and moving forward with that. And I don't think there was anything, there was never, and I brought forward the other changes to the body as we were going through it, and there was never any real notable issues that came up. So I think we would be okay bringing that forward to the Wilbraham Select, to the Wilbraham Town Meeting.
What are the costs of the doors and locks, and what are the costs of the ventilation estimation that we have?
Well, we had put in the capital plan for this year $700,000 for the events.
But we don't know if that fixes the problem, correct?
Well, I think you have to define what is the problem. If the problem is trying to increase the air exchanges and get more oxygen into the school, it should be a very effective remedy for that. If it's about mold, that's a different issue. And so I think in the
Going back up,
conversations,
what's the problem? What is the problem currently as it exists today?
50% of the classrooms have carbon dioxide levels above recommended levels.
that's true.
Some of the, you know,
But I would characterize that as a symptom. I would say the core issue is that most of the classrooms are operating on original equipment to the building, which is now aging and not as efficient as it was when it was first put in.
In my understanding, at least when capital met last time, there was no quote for these. It was, I don't wanna call it an estimate, because there was no quote. It was, here's what similar projects have cost.
Correct.
So we don't really know what those figures are.
And the doors and locks?
Doors and locks, well, it's really, is it doors and locks?
That was the quote from Don.
yeah,
We, I would have to look into that. We don't have a price on doors alone, because we envision that as part of a bigger project with the windows as well. We will have MSBA folks out here next week, as I said, so we can have a discussion with them and maybe get some more guidance on what just the doors of
Okay,
the
so-
project might cost.
If the doors and locks are covered by the MSBA, we still have to pay roughly 50%, correct?
I asked them that question this afternoon. Our reimbursement rate would be 57.11.
They would give us 57.
Sorry, can you clarify the doors and locks? Is that to make sure that everything is the same on all of the doors at the building and locks, so it's not
It-
various keys, or are we talking replacement of the doors and windows?
The MSBA project that we put in was for replacement of doors and windows. The doors and locks that we're discussing right now would
That's
be
what
a subset of that project.
Okay, so it's the same that we presented that we present for all the buildings, and we just did at Green Meadows, asking for, is it the same? The doors and
No,
locks?
no, that project was based on the interior
Okay.
doors.
This
The
is-
project that we have for the MSBA is exterior doors
And windows,
and windows.
which would be helpful also for energy savings and that kind of,
Correct.
you probably got a few leaks there, right?
Correct. Well, that would be helpful with the mold situation because it would help us keep humidity out of the building.
Okay, so we're talking about the doors and locks, whatever that comes out to be, 42.88% of that, and then of that, 20% would be, so I just wanna figure out like dollars and cents, how much money are we talking about? And then if we can raise that money from somewhere else and stuff, great, or whatever, I'm just saying, it'd be really good if we had a price tag on this, you know, disagreement before we get to the Hatfields and the Corys, you know.
Well, I think, you know, two things that are going to make a big difference on that is whether or not we are invited to participate in the program. Because, you know, you're talking about paying less than half to paying the full cost. And then if we are invited to participate in the program, there's a design phase that I think will really help us to, with a very high degree of accuracy, estimate what the cost of the project will be. So rather than throwing a number out into space right now, I think we should see whether or not, I guess there's actually a third part. One is, are we invited? If we're invited, do we agree to participate in the process? And then if both of those are yeses, then we'll get a very firm cost estimate.
When will you know that?
The board meets in October.
Can we, just for the doors and locks part of this project, can we just, like, what's the worst case scenario? Let's say we don't get invited and we have to pay for it all. Let's put a cost on that, and the ventilation, $700,000, so it'll be plus whatever, and then work out, you know, it's not 20/80, it's what, 19 something, whatever the percentage is, you know? So we can actually have like numbers.
Is that 700 cost the current cost?
That's what we put in the capital plan last spring. We haven't looked at those numbers since then.
I think it's really important that we get accurate numbers.
Yeah.
I know there's been a real contention.
And so, Don, am I to say that Hamden, right now, their stumbling block is the ventilation and the doors and locks, and if we can work something out with them, the way we have the agreement is good?
I'll have to check with the board.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
Well, the issue is we have a new member,
Mhm.
so I don't know, we haven't really discussed this with him. He's got a couple of kids, I believe he has a couple of kids in the school. So, we're meeting on the 18th, which is Monday, and I'll present this to them. I'll get this on the agenda, I'll call tomorrow, get this on.
And your meeting, when's your next meeting? Today?
2 weeks.
Oh,
So like, yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday. Like 26th, 25th maybe.
25th.
I believe it is. I believe that's next, it's 2
I mean,
weeks.
I would like to see us go forward in the fall, but I understand all the different.
From what I heard, there was a group out there trying to get the signatures together to make a fall meeting, and it has nothing to do with the school stuff, it was something else. I was asked if I would sign it, and I was like, I don't know, just let me look at it, and no one sent me anything, so.
They need two,
100, I thought?
well, if there's no meeting scheduled, they have to get 200 to force a special meeting.
Okay.
So that should be easy. Sit down someday for it,
Do you have a date for your fall town meeting?
but we believe it's October 27th, but we can push it to sometime in November.
Okay.
One of the issues that's kind of driving us too is that our town accountant is retiring in our principal assessor got another job, so we gotta get our tax rate, free cash and everything lined up by, you know.
Does anyone have anything else?
Now, what about this isn't, this isn't, we probably can't do this, what about the memo that Desi sent about how to budget, how to prepare the budget, I guess is the best way to put it.
I don't know what that is.
The memo that we sent and then Wilbraham got on how it has to appear on the warrants, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that one, yeah, they sent it.
Well, basically, they say we gotta put it on a warrant, or the town has to put it on the warrant as we say it. But if they wanna make any changes or something like that, it could be another warrant that will go after that warrant. That's what I read from the.
No, it's not exactly what, if we're okay to speak about this, the attorney basically said, Desi offered additional guidance. There's no new legislation, just additional guidance. And they reinforced the fact that Desi's guidance was the voted number by the schools needs to appear on the warrant. It did not specify how it needs to appear on the warrant. So there remains a host of questions, that's from our attorney. There remains a host of questions as there has been in the past, but they just reinforced the fact that Desi needs, the school committee's voted number needs to appear on the warrant as voted. But it doesn't say how, it doesn't say if you can vote it separately, it doesn't say if you can, where it needs to appear, it doesn't say, you know.
That's the way it's always been though.
So there was a reinforcement, but not a lot of clarity to what it really means from a procedure, from an actual perspective, from our perspective.
Yeah, but we could still, I mean, finance or whatever could still negotiate. They say they want 50 million, they could say, gee, we only can do 49 million this year.
But it would still go on somewhere in some.
It needs to be-
But prior to
Yes.
prior to the school committee's vote, there could be a
Oh, yeah.
negotiation.
Yes.
And that's what we do, that's what we, yeah. The problem is sometimes the goalpost.
I've never seen the memo, so I'm just at a loss. So,
Yeah. We sent you our attorney's response though. Did we not?
I saw your attorney's,
Yes,
but
response.
I didn't know what that was responding to.
Okay. So somehow you got looped out.
So the plans work. Is that Mills?
All right, if there's nothing else, we will adjourn and we will,
So there's no date where you will meet again, but we know when you're meeting
Well,
with each other.
On the
Yeah.
18th, we'll see if they want to meet with the Wilbraham Select Board, if they're scheduled.
And when do you think we can have the
time frame
numbers?
we're working on. It's compressing as the days go by.
Correct.
I'll have to talk to, well, I'll say, you know, just to share in the context of what Mark had shared around numbers. We had a meeting with some Wilbraham officials 2 weeks ago, and we toured the middle school, you know, just to give them a sense of the events and a way to actually put their eyes on and be able to visualize some of the things that are talked about in the reports. And there was a discussion about wanting to try to get a more firm estimate of the ventilation cost and some process for doing that. One suggestion was basically to hire a firm or do a study or something specifically for the purpose of getting a number, an estimate that everyone could agree to. So it may be that is a step that Wilbraham wants or even insists on, at least while it's their building. So, you know, rather than me going out and coming up with a number that may end up then being, I don't know, set aside while we work on another number, I guess I'd like to figure out if that process is what is going to be done. That was only staff level, so that was me and Nick and Sam and in some of the people. So I don't know if that's the official stance of the town, but if that's the direction they want to go, then rather than getting those numbers, I think what we need to do is figure out what the cost of the study is going to be and try to get that number nailed down.
I can say that Wilbraham, I think it's fair to say that Wilbraham's been frustrated with, some of the quotes. Or lack thereof.
All right, so we will wait to hear the status of the two boards communicating. We have our next school committee on Thursday, August 21st. So we will have discussion amongst the board as well. And then I guess our next meeting will be to be determined, and we'll reach out when we have more information. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Your adjourned, 6:01.
Thank you.
Thank you.